guys, and welcome to a new video on Sonal's life. Now, this is, boo-hoo, the last New Japan tour review of 2023. Because today, I can't remember what day it is. I'm gonna have a look now. Okay, on the 10th of December, we had the final for World Tag League, which basically means from now on, we have the Road to Tokyo Dome show, and come January 4th, Wrestle Kingdom. Now, this isn't by far the last video of the year, so do not worry. However, I am here to look at the entire tour, which I know, and I've seen online, a lot of people have skipped out on, because similar to Super Junior Tag League, it is not one of the biggest tournaments of the year. However, I watched it all, so I'm here to look at the matches, the participants, what went down in the final, and a little bit of what we can expect from this come January the 4th. Now, this tournament was pretty decent. Like, in the past we've had issues, especially during the pandemic era, where the heavyweight tag team division has suffered from the same teams, lack of teams, confusing teams. This tournament had a really nice range of wrestlers from different companies. So we had your usual, like, you had the top tag teams within New Japan. So we had the tag team champions Bishamon, the strong tag team champions Hikuleo and ELP. We had other likes, which we'll talk about their storylines. We had new guys. We had Zandakan Jr. with Suji, Narita and Shota. We also had some very veteran, albeit weird teams. We had Minoru Suzuki and Yuji Nagata. We then had people coming in like combination teams. So Fale came back with Jack Bonza. We had Lance Archer and Alex Zane. We had TMDK. But we also had guys from AEW and CMLL. So similar to Super Junior Tag League, it felt like there was a real importance here. And I think the best thing about this tournament, now I know that some people are going to have grievances about like the results and what happened, especially in the final. But I'm going to talk about this methodically. The actual bracket matches themselves were good. You're never going to expect match of the year candidates from World Tag League in terms of the actual block matches. There were some really good bouts between the different teams. The teams really stood out in different ways. And I think that was the purpose. It was to build and establish these new teams. So I think in that sense, I keep saying Super Junior Tag League, I'm still hooked on that. World Tag League did its purpose, I believe. Now, I'm not going to go through like all the matches and stuff because it was a very long tournament, and I feel like World Tag League is one of those hit and miss, so either you really enjoy it or you don't. So I'm going to look through block by block each of the teams and like their standouts and really what stood out for me in terms of their performances. So we were back to 2 blocks, which we've had. It's a normal thing, but there have been occasions where we've had 1 block. So in A block, we had Shota Umino and Ren Narita. Now, they obviously started as enemies, became lovers or husbands, and they started this tag league pretty well. Until about halfway when Umino kept picking up loss after loss after loss. Now, this all came to a head during one of the matches against House of Torture. Or was it House of Torture? Yeah, it was House of Torture, where Shota was getting his ass beaten again. And rather than helping his friend now, he went and just sat outside. Let Shota get beat up. Like, in the post-match comments, it was... Actually, that's a lie. This came after, I think, Shota and Narita were mathematically eliminated from World Tag League. So it was in, like, a tag match. Or maybe it was... I'm going back to this. It was a long tag league. So basically, that happened. And then in the end... One of the biggest takeouts, I guess, from this entire tag league was that Ren Narita turned on Shota Umino and joined House of Torture. Now, normally, I would be very angry at this. When Shota Umino joined, I was angry. No, not Shota, crap. When Sho joined, I was very angry. When Kanemaru joined, I was angry. This Ren Narita thing seemed like the best possible shot. So, since Narita has returned from debut, unlike Shota, Umura and Suji, he has not really cemented himself as a mainstay with any sort of personality aside from a Shibata lookalike. A heel turn was probably the best thing that could have happened. And remember, in this current state of New Japan, House of Torture, Bullet Club are the only 2 heel factions, really. The pure heel factions that they've got. I personally don't think that Narita would have ever worked in the main Bullet Club, mainly due because that quite seems to be made up of Gaikokujin, so foreigners, and Narita's style and sense wouldn't fit. He'd be overshadowed by the other graduating young lions from the New Japan dojo. So it will be interesting to see whether Narita changes to the House of Torture style of cheating, or whether he can be that glue that sort of helps House of Torture turn him from a shit faction to a proper heel faction that can actually wrestle. So again, big takeaway. Ishii and Yano, really surprising. So when I heard them two get announced, I was like, it's Yano, we're not going to get really good matches. It's going to be some wins by luck on some like losses. Really, those two were probably at the one of the front runners for a very long time. They were picking up wins over the right people and actually put on some really good matches. So yeah, I'd love to see Ishii and Yano tagging again. Okan and Hanare, they had a really nice set of matches with everyone. Like when it comes to the Empire, their wrestling is second to none. And Hanare and Okan, their past, obviously in the dojo and stuff, made them a really good team. They particularly had very good feud, and I think it's going to come up to something to do with the tag titles that they hold. Gates of Agony from AEW, they have been picking up a feud with them. They got a win. Gates of Agony have triple man titles, so that's something to watch out for. TMDK, as always, stunning. I was gutted when they didn't make it to the finals, because they've honestly been such a breath of fresh air for New Japan's tag system. So while New Japan is very much used to just having makeshift teams and helping them grow, like Bishamon, TMDK came in as a cemented tag team and really pushed the tag division up. They've had amazing matches in the past. This tag league was, well, no different. Evil and Yujiro, we're not going to talk about Evil and Yujiro, but you know what? There could have been worse matches, you know? Particularly their match against Bullet Club's Alex Coughlin and Gabriel Kidd. You know what? If you're going to watch a House of Torture match, watch this one. It was actually phenomenal. Again, Coughlin and Kidd, I'm gutted that they didn't make it to the finals. So from last year getting like 2 points to I think about 8 or 10, they absolutely shined. In their House of Torture match, there was one moment where Gabriel Kidd jumped off a balcony, channeling his inner Kota Ibushi. And then we had the team, the Noah team, I guess you could say, of Kaito Kiyomiya and Oiwa. Again, a really nice team. They worked together. They didn't pick up many wins, but this was really, I think, Kaito investing in Oiwa's future and showing that, you know what, similar to in Super Junior Tag League, having the young lions coming back to New Japan while on excursion is really helping the fans to see their journey. So that worked. Now, in the end, we had 2 winners from each block. So the winners from this block was Coughlin and Kidd and Haste and Nichols. And they would be facing the 2 top winners from B block. Now, B block was just as strong. Maybe, I think A block was a bit stronger, but they were still good. We had the tag team champions, Bishamon. Absolutely phenomenal. They started pretty badly in the tournament, picking up loss after loss after loss. Especially, it worked because Hiroki Goto had come back from injury. One of their first losses was actually to strong title winners, Hikuleo and ELP. Now, if you'd have told me last year that one of my favourite teams in the tag team division would be Hikuleo and ELP, I would have laughed, because it is the most random combination ever. However, it works perfectly. They might be quite new in terms of a team experience, but they perfectly balance each other out. So you've got the height and power of Hikuleo and the agility and speed of ELP. But for me personally, why this team works is they balance each other out in the weaknesses that Hikuleo might have. Obviously, he's come back from excursion a while ago, but he's not had that main spot. Hikuleo's weakness, I feel, falls in his promo skills, his personality, shining aside from just being the big guy. ELP has got personality in bundles. I personally think, like, seeing the crowd's reaction, he could be a contender for the top foreign talent, especially as babyface. ELP's over-the-top charisma has really helped Hikuleo, whether it's like the finger hearts, these hearts, these hearts. You know, I thought I was watching a K-pop concert whenever they make their entrance, but phenomenal. Bad Luck Fale and Jack Bonza, again, they didn't pick up many wins, but they really managed to cause chaos. In particular, it was their win over Just Five Guys' Taichi and Uemura that stopped them from making the final. Now again, Taichi and Uemura are a very new team, but worked very well and proves that Just 5 Guys have a very strong tag team within the faction. Yes, now Taichi is busy with his King of Pro Wrestling belt, but Uemura is learning so much of Taichi and they work really well, their styles. They're very contrasting, but in the best way. We then had Minoru Suzuki and Yuji Nagata. Watch some of their matches, so you know they hate each other. They have hated each other. I think they still do. But throughout the tournament, you see that Suzuki slowly open up to Nagata, allowing him to get the tags. I sort of compared it to Desperado, obviously granddad and grandson. Suzuki is slowly like brushing off his heel and allowing himself to become a babyface that the crowds love. However, he still murdered granddad and causing some chaos, so it's all good. We then had Soberano Jr. Atlantis Jr. from CMLL. Really amazing teams. They had a bit of storytelling in there, in the sense that Soberano Jr. was getting annoyed at the losses and turning on his babyface roots. And Atlantis Jr. was like, yeah, we lose, but you do not have that attitude. We had Lance Archer and Alex Zane, so Monster Sauce. I goddamn love this team. Love them, love them, love them. Wow, like, I loved Lance Archer when he was a full-time in New Japan, and I really want that to be a common thing. It seems like AEW will let Lance Archer do all these New Japan shows, and I couldn't be happier because they work so well together. While like Hikuleo and ELP, the tall and small, the balance is more within the personality. These two are both contrasting in style, but their personalities are both massive. So yeah, more Monster Sauce for me, please. And then we had Yota Tsuji and his partner, Xander Jr. from CMLL. Again, this was a really nice tag team. Tsuji worked with Xander when he did his time in CMLL on his excursion, and you could see that chemistry. And obviously, considering that Tsuji loves lucha wrestling, it worked really well. There was also this kind of thing with Xander saying, if we win this tag league, I want a role in LIJ. Now, this meant that Naito was coming out in their league matches, their tag matches, and at one point we thought, well, it's not going to happen because they didn't make it, but we believe that on the final show, Xander Jr. went in for the LIJ fist bump that might have cemented a new member. So yeah, that was a stunning one. And in the end, we saw Bishamon and ELP and Hikuleo make it to the semis. So we then had the semi-finals, which saw the 4 teams battling out. Again, really good matches between 4 very different teams. And in the end, the final was set to be Bishamon, who were going for their 3rd consecutive win, versus the strong tag team champions, ELP and Hikuleo. Now, people were already a bit iffy on this. We've seen them wrestle before. Why again? I think that it works perfectly because you're not going to have 2 sets of champions and not have them have a strong showing. And I think that was the thing. And also, it was like, for once in a while, a very true babyface final. And the match was phenomenal. So, matches with tag teams are normally best the faster they are. However, this went 40 minutes, and as many people on the internet have said, maybe one of the best tag team matches New Japan has seen this year. There was so much excitement. I was watching it very early. Now, while maybe the tiredness meant that the 40 minutes might have been slightly long for me, I think that the action within it was more than enough to make up for maybe a match that could have been cut down by 10 minutes. There were some really nice spots. So there was very early on, Hikuleo and ELP brought out a table, but it was just sat there until towards the end there was like teasing, and Yoshihashi and Goto hit a shoto on Hikuleo into the table. There were so many near falls, as you could see, people kicking out of each other's finishers. So I think a CR2 was kicked out, which is ELP's finisher. The teams worked perfectly well together. There was so much interaction between them. You have the veterans of not just New Japan, but I guess the top of New Japan's tag division for years now. And then the new guys who are coming with a breath of fresh air. And what I loved was the crowd, I guess, was split between their support. Because, God, everyone loves Bishamon. Like, Yoshihashi and Goto are pure epitome of what it means to be great champions. But ELP and Hikuleo, since going to GOD being good guys, have also captured the hearts with their interactions with the crowds. Like, I think there's some matches where, like, ELP will literally go in and let kids touch his belt and take photos with him. And it was the core beauty of baby faces that made this match so good. Now in the end, Hiroki Goto and Yoshihashi got their 3rd consecutive tag league, but the difference is it's the first time they have ever won it as tag champions. Now this has meant that they had the opportunity to pick their champions. This is where I think there's a bit of conflicting views on what happened. So the match was phenomenal. It wasn't surprising that Bishamon won. They got to pick. Who could they pick? There is a whole list of tag teams, whether it is those in the World Tag League, AEW, Rev Pro. In the end, as many people expected, they nominated ELP and Hikuleo again for a champion versus champion match. But Sonal, this is pretty shit, isn't it? 3 matches in the space of 2 months. There are so many other tag teams, why this? I get it. There is an oversaturation of rematches. Someone even, I think it was Super J-Cast, even pointed out that there are so many rematches going on at Wrestle Kingdom. However, let me say this from a positive stance. Let me tell you why this works. The strong division, we're slowly seeming to be phasing it out. We've seen that in AEW with Eddie Kingston's strong title, and I feel like that is going to lead to this. So again, that makes sense. Second of all, I've completely lost it. So second of all, it is a babyface versus babyface. You don't get many of them at Wrestle Kingdom. This will be a really nice match with 2 teams that we know can put on an amazing match. They're going to have the crowd at their feet. They're going to have fans watching at home, watching in the crowd, supporting them. So that works. And I mean, the second part I was going to say. So a lot of people have said, how do we go from a 40-minute banger, match of the year candidate, to something at Wrestle Kingdom? The answer is that's not supposed to happen. We're not supposed to equal that. Wrestle Kingdom has so many big matches. Already now we've got special singles, title matches. The tag division will always come towards the start of the card and will never be given probably more than 20 minutes. They know that. They know that the card is so stacked that Bishamon are going to have to play a role that is not as strong. So by having an already existing feud, you don't have to give it as much time to shine. You can give it 10-15 minutes and know they're going to put on a banger of a match that is going to send the crowds home happy, but also not take up too much time for the other matches. And lastly, we are now on 1 win apiece. So in the rounds, God won. In the final, Bishamon won. So this is the perfect tiebreaker. We're either going to see at Wrestle Kingdom Bishamon continue their reign, or we're going to have God really cement themselves as a faction that is who you want to be. And there's also one small thing, and this has happened before, where other teams have inserted themselves into it. Tag team matches out of all the bouts in Wrestle Kingdom are more likely to be more than just one-on-one. So with Bishamon and God being beaten by several teams within the tag league, there could be an option that someone comes last minute and inserts themselves in. I think there was a lot of talk that maybe God wasn't meant to be the challengers and Aussie Open were, because we've seen Bishamon tease this, but with the state of AEW and New Japan's relationship, and also Mark Davis still being injured, they probably had to change that. So if you're not going to have this big match, have something you know is going to send the crowds home happy. And again, they are 2 phenomenal teams. They have really shined and are really helping to elevate the tag division. So they deserve it. ELP and Hikuleo deserve their Wrestle Kingdom moment. That's what I'm going to say, and so did Bishamon. So yeah, that was my review. Again, it was a long tournament, and I feel like either you watched it and loved it or you didn't. But really, it's a strong tournament, especially with Wrestle Kingdom coming up, because we have a lot of stories that they've been teasing. So Narita versus Shota, something will happen there. We also saw some rumblings of maybe a special singles match at some point with Uemura and Tsuji. I think Chris Charlton even mentioned hair could be involved. Please don't get rid of their hair. But yeah, it's the last big tour. Everyone's sort of trying to get prepared for January the 4th. But I think at the end of the day, it was a very good tournament. There were some great matches, great storytelling. And they've proved that the tag division can be fruitful. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed my little review of World Tag League. I personally enjoyed it. Tag team wrestling is one of the things I love most about the business, so it really shined. But I don't want you to worry and thinking, but Sona, what else is there to come from you before Wrestle Kingdom? don't worry. So in the next week, I'm going to be releasing 2 videos, which are guides to New Japan. So if you maybe aren't too sure of the ins and outs of the company ahead of Wrestle Kingdom, watch out for them. There will also be my 2023 New Japan year review. So I will look at everything from the past 12 months. So like a little whistle-stop tour before Wrestle Kingdom. Hopefully you guys enjoyed my video. Make sure to let me know your thoughts on the tournament. So your favourite matches, your thoughts on the results, just anything in general. You can do that in the comments here, on social media at wrestling_chat. Make sure to hit like, share with your friends and hit subscribe so you are the first people to know when I post a new video. And that will help if you click the little alarm button. So yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. We are truly on the road to Wrestle Kingdom, so I will see you guys soon. Bye!